Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So this is such an exciting video because it is just your classic book haul. This is very collective, I'd say probably from this entire year so far-ish. A lot of these books are thrifted too or secondhand. Let's just hop right in and get chatting about some books I've bought recently, and hopefully you guys can convince me if you've read any of these to read them. First up, we have The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. I have just heard incredible things about this book and that it's just like a really touching story. I think it's about this lady and there is kind of like a mistreated child and she really wants to foster or adopt him. So I think you're following them together. I'm not sure, and I think there's some like kind of fantasy magical realism aspects to it, but I've just heard incredible reviews about this book, so I really want to get to it, and it's like super short. Next we have Elle Kennedy's new release, Girl Abroad. I don't think I've read an Elle Kennedy book, which is kind of crazy, but I really liked the premise of this one because it's centered around like someone studying abroad in London, and I just love reading about London and just like watching shows set in London. So it looks like she goes over there and studies abroad obviously, and she is rooming with two guys that she thought was girls apparently. So I just thought that'd be really interesting. I didn't really know that when I bought it was like a love triangle. Like, they aren't my favorite, but we'll see how this goes. It should be a fun time. I do like the cover. This is definitely the thickest book in this pile. How many pages is it? Just under 900. We have 112263 by Stephen King. Ever since I think Haley Pham read this book first, and ever since she talked about it, it just was so interesting to me. It basically is about the JFK assassination and time travel. So I think someone either gets hired or like decides to time travel and try and stop the assassination. So I think that just sounds super interesting, and I feel like this book will also really kind of like something that will impact me for a while and something I'll remember for a while because it's just such a unique and interesting premise. I really do want to get to this eventually, but it is just really intimidating. Also, like, history is not my strong suit at all, so that's kind of why I've been putting it off. Don't know where it is, but I picked up his memoir on writing because also Haley read that, and I just think it'd be really kind of inspiring to read his story and also get some tips on writing because, you know, your girl has maybe kind of sort of been starting to write her own book. Obviously, I would love tips. Next up, we have another book that's been really like widely loved, Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is set in the same world as the Chestnut Spring series, the like cowboy romance series that everyone loves. I read the first book in that series and I really enjoyed the vibes of it and the setting, but I didn't necessarily love the romance. So I really feel like I could love this one even more. I think it's like he's a billionaire and I think he's in like recording music. So that's super interesting. And I kind of want to say he hires her. Don't quote me. I feel like I've already shown this in a haul maybe, but if not, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia for Fairies. I don't know if all the editions are like this, but it has like the textured edges, if you can see. So I really like this copy of it, and it also has like a fold out thing, so it's a really nice edition of it. Honestly, this book has kind of intimidated me a bit because I feel like I've heard somewhat mixed reviews on it. I feel like overall I've heard people like it, but I have heard a few people say that it was boring and or hard to get into. But this is on my May TBR, so look out for this hopefully. But I think this is just like a cozy fantasy where Emily Wilde is trying to go on like little missions to, I think it's finish her journal of fairies. Sounds super cute. I think there's a little romance too. And then we have A Fragile Enchantment. I just remember seeing an Instagram post about this, and it was like if you love like Regency, balls, enemies to lovers, just like listing out all the things I love in books, and it said to get this. So I went and bought it, and I am like 50 pages into it and I cannot really get into it, but I really want to make sure I finish this book because I feel like I could absolutely love it. Like, I just look at this and I'm like, wow, I think I'd love that. If you've read this, please give me motivation to do so. And then I picked up One Day by David Nichols. I got like 30 pages into this and then I aggressively put it down because it just was kind of boring to me. I wasn't really feeling the vibe. I could see myself reading this, finishing it, if I really see some good things about probably the show or the book, but I've just kind of seen mid reviews on this, so it hasn't really given me the motivation to pick it up, but I do feel like maybe eventually I will. This one I have already read, but I picked it up very recently. We have The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. This is like a literary fiction book about this old man and his bookstore, and a lot kind of changes in his life over the course of like 1 week. So you're just following his story, other characters in the town, and it was such a heartwarming story. I loved it. I was sobbing at the end. I do have a recording of me sobbing on the end, so go watch that video if you want to see that. But this was an incredible book, and it's super short and just such a perfect read for any season. Okay, this is also one that I might have shown before, but I don't know. Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. Guys, this just sounds like such an entertaining read. It's about two serial killers who fall in love and kind of bond over trying to kill other serial killers, I think. It sounds really, really entertaining, and I really want to get to this one because I want to say the sequel's coming out soon, or the third one. I don't really know. And we have another new release. We have Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. I didn't know I had the sprayed edges version until it arrived with me, but I like it. Look at the inside too. Gorgeous. I have literally no clue what this is about, so I'm not even going to try and explain it to you, but it's Leigh Bardugo and we love her so much, and this book is just gorgeous, honestly. This might be the book that I am like most excited for. Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley. Probably not saying that right, correct me if I'm wrong. So how this was explained to me was Hunger Games X The Selection. Those series are two of my like favorite like teenage years series. I loved both of them so much. So combining them into one sounds so interesting. The little blurb says 10 women, a deadly contest, only one can win the Sun King's heart. And then we have, this was kind of an impulse buy, Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I've really been thinking about starting the Foul Lady Fortune and the These Violent Delights series recently. Again, I don't really know what it's about, but I've heard great things about Chloe Gong as an author, so I'm sure it'll be incredible. And then this is the other book that I am most excited for, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. First of all, this cover is probably my favorite cover I have ever seen. There's a dog. I really didn't know what this is about today until I watched Sarah's new video on reading new releases, but it's about these two people and they both believe they're like cursed with love, like not gonna find their true love ever. And I think this because all of their exes, after breaking up with them, they've immediately found their soulmates. So they kind of find each other on like Reddit, I think it is, and they're like, hey, we should date, and then once we purposefully break up, then we'll find our soulmates. So they try and do that, and we know where it goes. But I think I'm really gonna enjoy this because Abby Jimenez just always puts like more depth to her stories. Like there's always something deep going on and you just really connect to her characters. The next book I got is The Getaway List by Emma Lord. This is her new release and I have really enjoyed her other books. Tweet Cute, You Have a Match, and I read another one too. I'll put it on the screen. I can't think of what it's called. This happens after their high school graduation and it looks like they are going to New York for the summer, which sounds super interesting because I love just reading about New York. I might read this after school gets out. We'll see. I really do want to get to this though because her books are just so much fun and just vibey. Like they are so fun and vibey. Okay, my camera just died, but we're back. Okay, next up we have The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, another new release from the month of April. This one, I already read it. It was very mid to me. I really didn't connect with the characters. I just found it really kind of cringy, which is kind of the point of it because it's like a cheesy rom-com romance, but to me the cringes got to me a little bit in this one. I'm not gonna lie, and normally I'm not one who cares about that, but this is technically the sequel to The Cheat Sheet, and this follows our two main characters who have a history. Like they were really serious in college but they broke up, and now he's like a famous football player and she gets assigned to be his agent. So you get them seeing each other again and having to work together and figuring out their past issues and all of that. That is the rule book. And then another new release, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. I gave this book 5 stars, you guys. It was incredible. I love this couple so much, and just their dynamic and how funny they were together was so good to me, and I really enjoyed how there's just tons of different side plots going on in this book. Like you get so many different dynamics. You get family stuff, friend stuff, just like personal life issues, and it's so much fun to follow that with the characters and also their romance. I love this so much. But the premise of this one, it's really interesting. So our main girl Daphne and her fiance Peter, they have just broken up because Peter was actually in love with someone else the whole time basically. So Peter is Daphne's ex. Peter is now dating Petra, who is Miles's ex. And Daphne's life is now just like uprooted, so she's like, hey, I need a roommate. So she hits up Miles, who also just had his relationship ripped out up front of him for the same people, are like, yeah, we'll room together. So you get like the forced proximity, and it was really interesting because both the characters are literally dealing with like the exact same thing. Like both of their exes left them for the other person's ex, so it's really interesting getting that too, and I feel like it was just really well done throughout. And then we have another new release from April. We have the reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. If this book taught me anything, it is that I am obsessed with Holly Jackson. I'm currently in the middle of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder because I loved this book so much and I am absolutely loving it. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed the mystery aspect. I feel like something I just love is like mysteries, like not necessarily thrillers, but like mysteries, like you're trying to uncover what happened and it's really twisty turny. So I love that. So this book follows our main girl Belle, and her mom Rachel Price actually has been missing for I think over 10 years. So they are filming a Netflix documentary about that disappearance, and then one day, hence the title, Rachel Price is back. So you're now not only getting the documentary trying to figure out why she disappeared, but why she came back. It was a roller coaster, that is for sure. And then another book I have is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murders by Jessie Q. Sutano. She is the author of Dial A for Aunties. I loved that book so much. Again, with like the mystery, like the cozy mystery, I loved so much. I don't think they're connected at all, but this is kind of about an older lady who, it looks like she just goes downstairs one day and finds a dead man in her shop. She's trying to figure that out, and I did already start this book when I was in a slump. I can't remember how much I got into it, but it was really entertaining because the main character is an older lady and she's has like such a set routine, and it's so interesting being inside an older character's head because I feel like I haven't read a lot of books like that, but this was so entertaining. So this is the last of the books that I bought new. The rest of them are thrifted. So we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I have not read a Kristen Hanna book yet, but I really want to get into her writing because I feel like she is such a well-established author. Like everyone loves her and loves her books. So I picked up this one because yo girl may or may not be going there in like a month. I kind of wanted to read this before I went to get some like history background, like more in depth. Like obviously I learned about some of this in school, but I feel like in a book like this where it's set in France, I could get some more knowledge before I go over there. And also it just sounds super intriguing to me. It's set during It's set during World War II in France. I think it's kind of dual timelines. You get the timeline of being in the war, and then you also get, I think it's in the 90s, like looking back on what happened to her, and then this follows two sisters. So I really want to get to this book, and I just think I'm gonna really enjoy it, and it's gonna be really impactful. I really haven't read anything like this, but I feel like I will love it. Okay, so now for some thrifted books. An Honest Lie by Taryn Fisher. This is a thriller. I'm not sure what it's really about. Looks like a girls' weekend in Vegas. Ooh, one of the friends does not come back to the hotel room. I've just kind of been in my thriller era, like loving them recently, and I don't really have many physical thrillers, and I do like to loan my thrillers out to people, and me and my mom do read a lot of thrillers, so picked up that one. And then also from Goodwill, we have Fight or Flight by Samantha Young. This just seems really cute to me, honestly. Looks like they meet on a flight or something, and then they get stranded together or something like that. I don't really know, but it just seemed like a cute rom-com, so I picked it up for cheap at Goodwill. This is from Half Price Books. We have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer Lynn Armentrout. I am scared of this book, honestly. I don't even know what it's about. Oh, it says it's perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas and Lauren Thalassa. So that is that. I'm kind of scared of this book. I'm currently reading one of her other books. This one, I'm really enjoying it, so I do feel like I might pick up From Blood and Ash after I finish that eventually. And then we have Such a Quiet Place from Megan Miranda, also from Goodwill. Okay, so it looks like it's like a small town, and then there was a murder in it, and that's all I got. And then we have Lisa Jewell, None of This Is True. I was so excited to find this book at a thrift store. I got it for $13.99, which is very expensive for a thrift store, but I really have been wanting to read this book for a while and haven't been able to get my hands on it, so I'm just excited I found it. This one, I've heard incredible things about the audiobook because this is kind of like a podcast type book. It centers on a podcast, so two ladies bump into each other. One has a podcast, and I think one listens to the podcast, and the one who listens is like, put me on your podcast, I got something good to say. And I think you follow that. I'm not quite sure what the mystery aspect really is, but I have really enjoyed what I've read by Lisa Jewell, so I'm excited for this one. And then another thriller, we have The Coworker by Frida McFadden. Also, I want to say this was the same thrift store as this, actually. It says, 2 women, an office filled with secrets, one terrible crime that can't be taken back. I've read a good amount of her books, and they've all just been really fast-paced and just like when you want to binge a book quickly, so this is perfect for that. Now we're getting into the bag. Hang on, let me pull all the ones out I got from this store at the same time. This thrift store was packed with good books. Some of them I did already own, but I still love that I found these, and they were all really cheap, like I think 25 cents. First up, we got The Raven Boys. I have been eyeing this book for such a long time, so I'm so happy I found it. Like, I've definitely picked this one up at Barnes or wherever else and put it back. I kind of think this is about like a rich school. I'm not really sure. I really like going in blind to these types of books, so I'm gonna do that. And then I also picked up Loath to Love You at that same thrift store. This is a novella collection from Ali Hazelwood. I want to say there's 3 stories in here, but I don't think this will be something I pick up really soon, but I do think eventually I will definitely just want like a short story. And then I picked up Book Lovers, which I have already read this, but I sold my copy of it because I didn't really love this book or see myself rereading it. But then I read Beach Read, Happy Place, and now Funny Story, and I'm like, I need to give it another chance because I just didn't really love this one, but I loved all of her other books I've read, so I'm like, I need redemption. When I found this there, I'm like, for 25 cents, I'm not gonna pass it up when I got rid of my other copy. Also from Goodwill, we have Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. They also had Alex Approximately, which I already own and read, and that's why I got this one, because it is the same author, and I really enjoyed Alex Approximately. Like, I really want to reread that, actually. It looks like they used to be close, and then they aren't close anymore, and then they go camping together. That's kind of interesting, but sounds super cute, and I really enjoyed her other books, so definitely excited for that. And then the last book and another summary one, we have Summer Sisters by Judy Blume. I think Destiny read this one, and to me it just sounded so interesting. I think it's really centered around friendship, and that is just something that's always been really close to my heart, so I really want to read this one. Ooh, it is set in 1977. I love the 70s vibes. That is awesome. Her name's Caitlin in this. So it looks like they're trying to reconnect like years after they were close or something like that. I'm really excited to read this one. Definitely will be saving it for summertime though. Okay, I definitely just ended this video, but I found 3 more books. This one I got at the Goodwill bins when I was on vacation. We have The Way I Used to Be. I think this one is like a YA book that is supposed to be like really sad. I don't know what it's about because I kind of want to be caught off guard with the sad stuff, so not gonna read the back on that one. Okay, this book, this is such a random purchase. We have Love Rosie by Cecilia Ahern. I can't remember if I've seen this movie or not, but it is a movie and it looks like childhood best friends maybe. So I'm really intrigued to read this and watch the movie or rewatch the movie. I don't know. I just thought it was cute. This is another book I've seen at Barnes a lot of times, like on a front table. The Jungle, not the jungle. And I've definitely picked this one up many times and read it. So I kind of feel like this is kind of going to be like an AJ Fickery type book, like kind of an older grumpy man, and then things get brought into his life and he's forced to, like, you know, turn into a softie. So I'm really excited about this one. It looks super fun based on the cover. Like, it looks like he's just like the fun uncle, you know? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you read any of these books, please let me know down below and just help me pick what ones I should read first, because I am overwhelmed by the amount of books on my physical TBR, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.